Welcome back, witches. So we kind of abruptly cut off last time because we realized we were almost to an hour and we had only covered 4 chapters. So
we're going to cover the other 4 right now.
Yes. So
we left off at chapter 4. So now we're on chapter 5.
We just, Feyre was just rescued from her wedding to Tamlin by Rhys.
God, finally.
And yeah. We're about to find out what's happening next. So let's just dive right in. Chapter 5.
Yeah, I got page 45.
I got page 43. I said, this dramatic asshole, he does like theatrics, talking about Rhys, because he just shows up and like is so dramatic about it.
Hello,
and at first,
Feyre, darling.
Yes. And at first I was like, hey, did he wait till the minute of the wedding just to be an ass? But no, like he didn't. Like we find out that's not the case. But
yeah.
At first I was like, what the hell? And then I have page 45. It was clear before Rhys showed up that Feyre was about to say no, that she wasn't.
Oh, yeah, like she hesitated. Like Tamlin kind of noticed a little.
Yeah, Anthony noticed. Like it was clear what was happening, and he's still like bargaining for her and like, I'll do anything. Like, shut up, bro. Like I just
she
can't.
Was about to say no. Yeah, I put like. I get bargains can't be messed with, but like he yet again bowed down.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, why beg? Why beg for something? If you are one of the most powerful High Lords, like you are setting an example that you are not more powerful than Rhys.
Yeah.
As a High Lord, you should essentially prove your power to other High Lords to continue your status the way that it is. And if you're not doing that, then what are you doing?
Right. Well, and just like Feyre made this bargain, it is what it is. So like you groveling and begging is only going to make Reason more like, like, yeah,
right. And she did that because her arm fucking broke.
Right.
She wouldn't be here.
Die. Like,
yeah, she wasn't going to be here if it wasn't for this. So like he needs to calm down.
And then,
so we're whisked away to the night court.
And the first thing Feyre says is, it was the most beautiful place I'd ever seen. That's a quote on page 45.
And you know what? The way it's described, it definitely is.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Like
Moonstone Palace etched into the side of the mountain. Like, okay.
With infinity pools and open windows and...
Listen, yes, I'm telling you.
It does sound gorgeous.
And she also said that she can like smell jasmine in the air. And you know, I would love to smell jasmine everywhere I go.
Just in the air. Just naturally.
It's just so like calming and soothing.
And now that I know that it is not always night at the night court does sound really nice. Like, yeah. Because at first I was like, oh, if it's always dark, like I get seasonal affective disorder really bad. Mm-hmm. So like if it was always dark, I would get super depressed.
Yeah. Because they're part of the solar court, so day, night, and dawn. So they all have like, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all of them. So they all have, you know, just like normal weather patterns.
Yeah.
So right now it's winter because the winter eclipse, right? Not the eclipse.
The solstice.
Yeah, I think winter solstice. Yeah. The hollies, the everything. What was that? Like Christmas time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love that. I mean,
and then on page 46 and 47, she's like pissed and she's like tirading and like throwing a fit.
This is my favorite part.
And I'm just like, honestly, shut up and be grateful. Like,
I love this part. I lose it every time I read it, and it's my favorite. So she finally like calms down from like the awe of the, you know, the first glimpse of the night court. And she's mad, and he's just like bantering with her. And she goes, "You're a bastard. You made it clear enough that I had reservations." And he goes, "Such gratitude as always." And he goes, "What do you want from me?" And he goes, "One, I want you to say thank you first of all, and I want you to take off that hideous dress. You look," his mouth cut a cruel line, "you look exactly like the doe-eyed damsel he and that simpering priestess want you to be." And so like that's kind of what starts it. Or not starts it, that kind of like what starts to end it. But right before that is my favorite. He's like, how dare you bring me here? Like, this is not what I want, even though like that's exactly what she wants. And like they start bantering back and forth, and then all of a sudden she gets pissed because he starts walking away.
I wrote this down too.
What does he say? I wish to roam home. And he laughs, finally sauntering toward the other end of the hall, which ended in a veranda open to the stars. I'm willing to accept your thanks at any time, you know. He called to me without looking back. Red exploded in my vision. I couldn't breathe fast enough. Couldn't think above the roar in my head. One heartbeat, I was staring after him. The next, I had my shoe in hand. I hurled it at him with all my strength, all my considerable immortal strength. I barely saw my silk slipper as it flew through the air fast as a shooting star, so fast that even a High Lord couldn't detect it as it neared and slammed into his head.
I wrote that down too. She threw his shoes at him. I love it.
Yeah, next one, it's like Reese whirled, a hand raising to the back of his head, his eyes wide. I already had the other shoe in hand. Reese's lip pulled back from his teeth. I dare you. Temper. He had to be in some mood today to let his temper show this much. Good. That made two of us. I flung my other shoe right at his head as swift and hard as the first one. Listen, I would do the same.
Yes, I love it.
I would be one of, I'd be like, do it. Try again. Make good choices. You're not going to make a good choice. So, anyways, I love their banter, the back and forth.
I love that part too.
Great.
I do wish that she would realize like all he does for her though.
Oh yeah,
like
that. But listen, that's abuse. That's the abuse talking, because it's like she's so used to being provided for by Tamlin that the moment somebody else starts providing and showing her like what she deserves
and respect and equality.
She's pissed off. I mean, that happened to me. I was dating somebody that was like really, really toxic. I wouldn't say like physically abusive, but definitely like he gaslit me all the time and like very emotionally. It's just strained. And his best friend was like, he's not a good person. Like relationship wise, like he might be a cool dude, but he's not a good person relationship wise. And he would just constantly tell me all of this. And I'd be like, you're wrong. And then he'd show me what I deserve. And I'd be like, stop flirting with me. That's weird. You're my boyfriend's best friend. Like very high school bullshit. And Ugh. I mean, he was completely and utterly correct. So, right. I mean, I get it, but also.
Ugh. And then like on page 51, she's talking about when the bond forms with Tamlin, how everything will be better. And like they might push the wedding back until the mating bond clicks into place. Sweetie.
Did you say that out loud to Reese?
I don't think she says it out loud.
Man, I wish she did, because Reese would have been like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what you think.
Just so you know.
Right.
It's me, bitch.
And then on page 53, I don't know if I'm cutting past like where you're at, but
you are, but that's fine.
On page 53, she feels that tug again. And I'm like, is that tug the tattoo? I don't think it is.
Yeah, I
think that's the mating bond, right? Like that draw to come to him and to be near to him.
Yeah, because it's like coming from the stomach, not from the arm.
Yeah.
And everything else came from the arm.
Yeah.
So I don't know why I put it, but I put page 48. I love the work-life balance. I'm here for it. But I don't know why. Hold on. I'm not doing well right now. Sleeves got to come off. Like the book is just not. What page was that? Did I say 48? Oh my God. Oh, I was here. Let's see. Oh, he goes, they're talking about the court. So like the court of, I'm not going to say it out loud because it has not been brought up, but his night court. She like starts freaking out because it was emulated. That was how it was emulated from like, that's why that Under the Mountain looked the way that it does. Because
right.
It was like his. So she starts panicking, like, when are you going to take me there? And he goes, I'm not. This is my home, and the court beneath. The court beneath is my occupation, as you mortals call it. I do not like the two to overlap very often. And I was like, I get it.
Right.
Page 49, I would, I'm all over the place. Page 49 is when that whole banter started
with the shoes.
With the shoe, and I put like I would follow through too. Like, don't dare me.
Yeah,
like I would do it.
Please dare me, because I will do it. Like that, I might not have thrown the other one at you,
right?
But now that you've said that, like I've been provoked. I'm no longer responsible for my actions.
I've seen red, and that's it. Are we past page 40 or 53?
I just said something about 53, so now I'm on to 54.
Okay, so for 53, I put she didn't mention she was sick at all, so that's progress. I think this was her first night.
Yes, she had spent the night, and she did have a nightmare, but when she woke up, she was able to, because it was so open and airy,
she immediately like
knew where she was.
Panic. Yeah, so like she wasn't sick. I mean, she didn't mention she was sick. She like didn't cry.
Yeah.
Like right after waking up, all that. So like, hey, that's progress. And then I made the comment about the tug being the mating bond, I believe.
Yeah. And then on page 54, she wakes up, she takes a bath, and she's getting dressed to go see him. Or she's already awake, because that's what the tug is. But she takes a bath and she's getting dressed. Night court clothes sound amazing.
I know, it reminds me of like Middle Eastern.
Yeah, like harem pants. And
like a jasmine.
Yeah.
Princess Jasmine is what I think.
Yes.
I Dream a Genie.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
Yeah, I Dream a Genie.
Very much. And they sound much more fitting to Feyre's personality. Pants and
flowy.
Yeah.
Not flowy like a dress, but like not constricting.
Yeah. She can move.
Yeah, it's not like annoying.
And then my next thing is until page 56. Actually, it's the last thing I have for this chapter.
Same.
I just said, I get it. Like, even though Rhys can be cruel in his way of doing things, he always has a good reason.
Yeah.
And even though he's being cruel, it's more like he's challenging her. Like,
like proving her worth, like trying to get her fire back kind of thing.
Yeah, trying to get a reaction. So, like, I get it. I'm starting to like Rhys. I still question his methods, because I think they're a little bit, at times, can be a little bit
too much.
Yeah. But I do like him now.
Hey man, if that's the way it works, it works. I put, finally a solid idea. We're gonna learn how to read. So back under the mountain, there were comments made like about how, like, would it be so terrible if I made you learn how to read or something like that. Like after Rhys finds out that she can't read, like maybe that would be like her endless torture, kind of whatever.
Right.
And then he's like, for this week, I just want you to learn how to read. And so yeah, there you go.
Yeah. And then when they get started with that, like, he finds out that she knows a lot more than he realized.
Yeah.
Like, she can read certain things. It's not that I feel like she just hasn't practiced. Like, once she practices reading
and she never had a reason to.
Right.
I mean, she was always constantly trying to survive. Like, who has time to read a book or practice reading when you're like out in the forest for hours on end trying just to find food for your family?
Yes. I wrote something down and I'm trying to remember why I wrote it.
So this is chapter 6.
Yes.
So we open it up with how Rhys is supposedly mocking her for not being able to read because of what happened under the mountain. And if that would be her personal idea of torture. And she's just pissed off and she's like, no, thank you. It's like, yo, that almost cost your life before. Like, what happens if this bond is gone? Like, this arm thing of yours is absolutely destroyed. Like, how the fuck are you going to do this? But honestly, like, Rhys has a good point. Like, you're going to be a High Lord's wife. Like, you're going to have to do things.
Right.
You can't just show this. And that actually might be a form of weakness.
Yeah.
If people know, like, she can't read, that's a weakness that they can use against her.
They're going to think that she's an idiot. Like,
so he's a much better protector than Tamlin, the tampon.
Yes. And just, yeah. So I wrote that she's infuriating. He's just trying to help. Like, why are you being so obstinate? You're stuck here. You might as well do something productive while you're here. And yes, I realize she ends up, like,
doing it.
Yeah, but, And then on page 58, I wrote something else, and that's what I was trying to find just now.
Oh yeah, I wrote something for that too. I put, she could have Tamlin's strength, which makes me wonder if through training she could best him. If she could actually beat the absolute shit out of him.
Right?
I want to see that because like I want to see how Tamlin is afterwards.
Right?
I just want to see his pride hurt.
Oh my gosh. His fucking pride. So on page 58, he said, she says, I'm not going to learn to read or shield with you, and I didn't get any powers transferred to me. And he says, why? From spite? Yes, that's absolutely why she's refusing to work with you, out of spite. She's just being a petulant child right now. Like, there's no good reason. She's just being shitty.
And do you think maybe the reason why she's being like this is because she never had a childhood?
Maybe. Well, and she never had like a good role model of what emotional maturity looks like.
Yeah, just slip it under the rug.
Yeah. So, and then we meet Morgan.
Oh, I love Moore. Oh my god, I love Moore.
Yes,
I love her so much.
We barely meet her, and she like
we hear her like little thing at the very end of chapter 5 where it's like, well, that went well.
Yeah,
because like after the whole slipper thing was being thrown, Rhys like walks away, and so does Feyre, and all of a sudden you just hear a female voice go, well, that went well.
Yeah. So
that'd be me. I'd be like, well, that didn't.
I just love her already.
You're also gonna love her. I'm so excited to tell you this. She's LGBTQ+.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I'm actually not surprised by that. I was kind of.
She goes both ways, but she prefers women more.
I like it. Yay.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, I'm so excited for more to come in because
this is amazing.
It's going to be Brandy's new favorite character.
I really do like her. And then I'm glad that Feyre finally comes to her senses and does the freaking lessons, because what else are you going to do? Are you going to sit there and pout the whole time? Or are you going to do something productive and make yourself more powerful? Even though Tamlin doesn't fucking want you to be, because he wants you to be a pretty, pretty princess on a pedestal. Like,
right.
Ugh.
At least like Rhys knows like of what could happen to her, because like she's going to be a High Lord's wife. Like,
right.
He's aware that she's always going to have like a target at the back of her head or wherever.
Everyone's always going to be watching her. Everyone's always going to be like,
so it's like, help her now so that
yes,
she doesn't have to. And I think that thing pisses me off about Tamlin, because it's like, you should be protecting your people.
Right. He literally like just wants to put her in a cage, like a pretty little canary, and have her just be there for people to look at, but not allow her to be a whole being.
Right.
And he grosses me out.
I love the part right before Moore shows up. I like the part where on page 58, like right after the why from spite, I thought you and I got past that under the mountain, and Feyre just shovels back. Don't get me started on what you did to me under the mountain. Mm-hmm. And I kind of want to know, like, is it the parties, like the drinking of the wine,
and
is that specifically
the dress and the
right? Like, is that what? But also, I feel like that's something that his court would that's how he would act at his court. So like,
well, he also kissed her
for good reason.
He did, but she was still pissed about it.
Oh, God. Feyre, you're pissing me off.
Feyre always pisses me off. Not as much Tamlin, but still. Also, so page 62, he's starting to teach her how to read and to work on her mind shield.
Oh, man, I stan Rhysand. And build the lady's confidence up.
She's like, don't you have better things to do? And he's like, of course, but none as enjoyable as seeing you squirm. And she says, you're a real bastard, you know that? And I literally was thinking that. I was like, he's such a dick. But I feel like he does that knowing that, like, if she gets pissed off, she's going to work harder and she's going to do more. Like,
yeah.
I like
to prove people wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, that's how you get under the skin. That's how you do it.
And he treats her like an equal, unlike Tamlin. Like, Tamlin treats her like a child or like a pet.
Mm-hmm.
And Rhys, I feel like, treats her like an equal, and he challenges her.
Right. I just really, really like the whole, like, when he was like, let's see what you can read, and then he like has her read out loud, like, you look absolutely delicious today, Feyre, and she freaks out.
Yeah.
And like all of a sudden he just starts whispering to her, it's true, isn't it?
Yes, I love it. And then like further on, as we keep going, we find out like he has her read things like Rhysand is the most interesting High Lord. He's the most like, and I'm just cracking up.
I like how like the start of like that reading also was the start of her lessons to get the like the shield in her mind up.
Yes.
So that like nobody can read into her head or whatever. He's just like, oh, perfect. She is not paying attention. Let me just grab my claws and go into her head and just tickle. Here I am.
And then she's like pissed off at him. And she's like, I'm on page 66 now, by the way.
Oh my goodness.
Way ahead.
It's fine. I just basically reread like the section.
So she's like prick, 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 prick in her head talking about Rhysand. And he's like, at least have the decency to only call me a prick when your shields are back up. And she's like, he vanished into a ripple of darkness before I realized I'd let the wall of adamant fade again.
I say adamant. I don't know.
And I was just dying.
There's a section right before that where it was just like, he's like, did you even tell your friends about what I did to you under the mountain? And so that comment at breakfast had gotten under his skin. I don't want to talk about anything related to that with you or with them. And he goes, no, because it's so much easier to pretend it never happened and let them coddle you. I was like, yo. Listen, this is how you get through trauma. You talk about it.
He doesn't let her just shy away from it all.
Right. And then he's like starting to get like really, really mad. Like she's starting to get really, really mad at him and doing all of this. And he finally is just like, well, what do you want to do? Like, what do you want? And I was like, huh? Someone asks her what she wants. Someone asks her like what she thinks.
And
like, is that happening?
Also on page 66, he realizes her trauma and he tries to help with it. Like she says, he comes up behind her and it says he'd appeared moments before a healthy distance away. And if I hadn't known better, I might have thought it was because he didn't want to startle me, as if he'd known about the time that Tamlin had crept up behind me and a panic had hit me so hard I'd knocked him on his ass with a punch to his stomach. I blocked it out, the shock on Tam's face, how easy it'd been to take him off his feet. And, like, he recognized that and, like, backed off. Like, it's good.
Like he knew. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like this part where it was, like, Rhys obviously pissed her off again, and she dropped her shield and sent a word blasted down the mental bridge between us, hauled the walls back up. Behind it, my mind wobbled like jelly. I needed a nap and desperately. And Rhys comes back in like, prick I might be, but look at you. Maybe we'll have some fun with her lessons after all. And it's like, that's true. That's true. Like, she's doing a really great job, and it's all because of you.
Yes. And then the last thing I wrote was on page 68, just like that he doesn't hide things from her. Because like he's like, war is coming. Okay.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah. He doesn't hold things back.
Yeah. Amarantha is coming back. Just kidding.
I was like, hold up. Whoa. Okay.
No.
That is the last thing I had for chapter 6.
Same.
Okay. So that was 2 chapters. We're going to take a little break here.
And it's still March, so we're going to do another women's appreciation of somebody.
Yes.
And it's actually funny because we're finally at the Night Court. This is the Court of Witches. We're going to talk about Night Witches of Germany.
The Night Witches. They're of Russia.
Oh.
Night Witches of Russia.
Oh, I've heard these guys. Oh, these guys are so cool.
And part of this, like, I was glancing through here, and I picked the Night Witches from this is My Rejected Princesses book by Jason Parath, like we talked about a couple episodes ago. And I picked them because from the table of contents because they were called the Night Witches. But when I got to it, the little blurb is the civilian pilots who became the Nazis' worst nightmare, which plug Emily woohoo is going to be in the Diary of Anne Frank play at
it's in Lafayette, Indiana. So if you're not anywhere near Lafayette, Indiana, sorry about you. But it's at Duncan Hall.
Oh, okay.
It's at the end of April and the first weekend of May. I will play Meep Geese. Guys, Geese. Essentially, she is the Slytherin of the Anne Frank diary world because she is very resourceful. She works with her husband, Jan, to get food stamps. Not food stamps, but like...
Basically the same thing.
Yeah, like...
Rations.
Yeah, ration cards. For Anne Frank and her family and the Van Pels, which actually in the...
They're called the Van Dans, right?
Van Dans, yeah. And Mr. Dussel.
Yeah.
Who was also not Mr. Dussel, I don't think.
Something else, yeah.
Yeah.
But...
Anyways, so she is very secret, and I get to play her.
Yes,
I get to play my Slytherin dream.
So these women were not German; they were Russian, and so it all starts with Marina Riskova, who starts recruiting, and she actually interviews and recruits all of these women herself. They are called the Nachttexen, or the Night Witches, and they are fighter pilots. So they take up these like little rinky-dink falling apart planes. They literally, here in a second, describe them as being made of cotton and plywood. So they go up and they will do like evasive maneuvers that like even the male pilots were afraid to do. Like one will drive by really loud and then a quieter plane will come through and do the actual attack. And it literally says the men didn't even do a lot of what the Night Witches did. So they were given male uniforms, and they had to like stuff their boots to make them fit. They had to like do all of this. They referred to themselves by their first names and to each other by their first names, which is like a direct like slap in the face to military policy in Russia at the time. Well, really military in general.
I was gonna say, I think that's in general, because you say like lieutenant to somebody and they're like, I'm a commander,
right?
Or I don't major. I'm sorry, I don't know like rank.
I don't either.
But like you say a rank lower than what they really are, and they get really upset. I mean, you got to fight to get up there. So like,
right,
I get it.
Fair, but like they also only use last names. Like it's always like Private Johnson, not Private whoever. You know what I mean? Like
yeah. Also in like Russia, if you're like on the same par with them, you use like a whole other. I think this is like any sort of. I think this is in any language, and not just in Russia, but like. I took Russian in college, so like you and I would, since we're on like the same wavelength and like the same level, about the same age, I would say different words to you because they're less formal.
Okay, kind of like in Spanish, how they like they have the formal you and the non-formal you.
Yeah, so I feel like that might also be like maybe a cultural thing.
Yeah. So the other thing, one other really interesting thing about the Night Witches is that they were super disciplined, so they didn't drink. They were rationed vodka because it's Russia, but they didn't drink at all. And they didn't have romances, but they did have affairs, both hetero and homosexual, because they were like in these military barracks. Well, and they're in these military barracks. Like if women are the only people you ever see, regardless of whether you're attracted to women or not, at some point something's gonna happen.
Good, yeah, it's gonna look fun. I also feel like women. I mean, I feel like it's an innate nature of humans to like be, I don't know,
intimate.
Yeah, with any preference.
Yes,
but I mean, it's frowned upon in society, supposedly. So I just feel like it's normal. And I think women are more inclined to be A-okay with doing that.
Yes.
Than men are.
And I think society is more okay with women being with other women than they are with men being with other men.
Yeah, because like a lot of people will be like, God, that's so hot with women like making out. But then like the moment men make out, they're like, eh.
Yeah.
Get behind closed doors.
Okay. I have two more things to say about these night witches.
I keep bugging you.
It's okay. At one point, there were around 200 women had been a part of this squadron at one point or another. So, like, there were 200 of these women altogether. Only 32 were killed in battle.
How many total were there?
200.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good for them.
So there are around 200 of them, and some of them have awesome individual stories. There's too many, but if you go to www.rejectedprincesses.com, you can read more about some of their individual stories and learn about the individual Nightwish. Noctexen.
I can't say it. You gotta, it's like knocked Hexen.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to say, but it's Hexen, not
Hexen.
Anyways.
Yeah. Okay, so that was our little break and a little spiel. Interesting facts.
Back to war.
And chapter 7. So that was kind of a good stopper too, because we were talking about war and like he had just said there's going to be war.
We definitely didn't plan that.
We didn't, but it worked out
very well. So yeah, we learn about war, that it's coming. At this point, we don't necessarily like figure it out. But Feyre starts panicking, thinking that like Rhys is going to attack the mortal lands. And I mean, I get it. I mean, that's exactly what Amarantha was. She still doesn't necessarily trust Rhys. She was just desperate in that situation, even though she has said that she could have every single week of the year or forever, and she still would have agreed to the bargain. But I don't know. I
guess I was just like, even though Tamlin doesn't tell her anything, is she really so naive that she thought it was just all over? And everything honestly, was just going to be hunky-dory now? Like,
after he said that, and like Tamlin has been denying anything and everything that's been happening, I would have been fucking pissed.
Yes.
I wouldn't even have questioned. Excuse me. I wouldn't even have gone straight to like my family. I would have been like,
that fucker.
I knew it.
Right. Exactly.
I was gaslit again.
And then on page 72, which I might be skipping ahead of you.
I don't even know. My book's not even.
But I like that he respects her and treats her like an equal. Like, he's asking her opinion. He's giving her more information. He's answering her questions.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, finally, here's a decent male character that could be a love interest. Like, right. I mean,
at least now we kind of understand why Tamlin's having issues about letting her go out and all that, but I still feel like he should have just said something.
But like, also, if he knows that this is coming, she should be training. Like, she should be, because like at some point someone's going to get through your defenses.
Spies.
So she should.
Every court has a spy or somebody who is able to do this. Yeah.
So she should at the very least be able to know basic defense.
Right. You know, if Tamlin told her everything from the get-go, I mean, if he found a way to do it, this whole story would be drastically different.
Oh my gosh.
So there's a part on page 74. Rhys has a really, really great really, really great point. He says like this huge thing. Tamlin isn't your keeper and you know it. And she goes, I'm his subject and he is my high lord. And swoon moment, Rhys goes, you are no one's subject. So she's like, I went rigid at the flash of teeth, the smoke like wings that flared out. I will say this once and only once, Rhys purred, stalking to the map of the wall. You can be a pawn, be someone's reward, and spend the rest of your immortal life bowing and scraping and pretending you're less than him, than Ianthe, than any of us. If you want to pick that road, then fine. A shame, but it's your choice. The shadow of wings rippled again. But I know you, more than you realize, I think. And I don't believe for one damn minute that you're remotely fine with being a pretty trophy for someone who sat on his ass for nearly 50 years and sat on his ass while you were shredded apart. And I was like, oh.
Yes.
And she's like, stop it. And he goes, or, he plowed ahead, you've got another choice. You can master whatever powers we gave you and to make it count. You can play a role in this war, because a war is coming one way or another, and do not try to delude yourself that any of the Fae will give a shit about your family across the wall when your whole territory is likely to become a charnel house.
Yes. I love it.
Tell him, Wraith.
Yes, and I love that because I think he's starting to get frustrated because on page 73, which is the page before that, he's like, you should train for battle, or you should train and try to figure out what powers you have. And Feyre says, Tamlin won't allow it. Fuck Tamlin. What?
You straight up sat there and thought, like, well, this is kind of weird. Like, I can do this. Can everybody do this? Can I do that? Can I do this kind of crap? And you're just questioning, like, even
Tamlin
allowing
won't allow it. Like, fuck you, bro. And you just knocked Tamlin on his ass. Like, you just said that.
Honestly, so, like, listen, if you can knock Tamlin on his ass, even though he's the strong person,
just fuck Tamlin.
Yeah.
And, like, not in the good way. Ugh.
Keep your dick in your pants.
Oh, God.
Get away from me. There's also another moment on page 74. I can see why Rhys is a damn good High Lord. He knows what gets people motivated. It's a very dangerous skill set to have, especially in the wrong hands. Like, for instance, going back to, like, Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
I mean, through research of, you know, the play and all of that, we're, like, learning our character developments. And we had to learn a little bit about Hitler and where he came from and who he was. And essentially it was like, he wasn't a very big person. He was not very strong. I wouldn't say he's, like, gangly or anything, but he's definitely not the strongest of them all, or, like, bigger. So, like, he had to figure out his strengths someplace, and his strengths were through, like, conversation, speaking.
Yeah.
He was able to do any and all of the things that he did in his time as Fuhrer. I about said Emperor. Fuhrer. That it all happened because he was able to convince these people to do this and do that.
Because he was charismatic. Like, he was a horrible person.
Right.
I mean, clearly.
But, like, charisma really carries a lot of things. And it's a very dangerous skill set to have. And the fact that, like, Rhys is so charismatic. I mean, I got, like, you're right. I can do anything I want. I'm not even Feyre. And I, like, felt motivated by it.
Yeah.
But it's just like,
aren't you though?
Shut the fuck up. You saying I piss you off?
No, but sometimes. But sometimes.
It's like, God damn it, Emily. Don't you see your worth?
No. And sometimes you get mad when I try to tell you your worth. Listen.
And then I just get like,
you're wrong. You make that face a lot too. Yes, that one.
Crunched up mad face.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man. Anyways.
Page 76. Back to the story.
Call me out. I'm getting mad again.
Rhys is talking about Ianthe now and how he doesn't like her. And I got a sudden thought while I was reading it, and I kind of already talked about it, but I was just like, is Ianthe trying to bring down the priestesses from within? Like, she just seems super sketchy, and like she has a lot of ambition, but like almost too much ambition.
So that brings up a good point. Do you think the priestesses are a good group? Like, Ianthe aside, the group in general, do you think they are a good group or like an evil group?
Well,
because I mean, Ianthe can make you sway one way or another, but like,
yeah,
priestesses as a whole.
From Tamlin and what's his face, Rhys's reactions to them, I feel like they were probably started with good intentions, but like anybody who gets power at some point becomes corrupt.
True.
And a lot of the time you see that in religions where like people within a religion get power and then they take that power just a smidge too far.
Cults.
Well, cults, and like you have
Jonestown. Hello.
Yeah,
got a little bit of power.
just a lot of things like that. So I don't know. I just feel like there's something sketchy about her.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's that she's trying to become the leader of the priestesses, like, or if she's like, I don't know. There's something
just
sketchy.
Trying to eliminate so she's the only priestess kind of thing. Okay.
Or like just undermine it. I don't know.
Yeah, I get it. What page was that?
Page 76.
All right, I got something for page 79.
My next thing is not till 80.
Cool. Okay. So we talk about like the location of like where the house is. And she's like describing it as like open concept. So like Rhys made a comment where it was like a palace fit for the summer court. So I think it was like pillars, like open pillars. Like if the magic wasn't around keeping it warm, it'd be like snow, like wasteland in there. But it's like open pillars, like the sheer lilac, whatever, billowing curtains was blowing in from the wind. But yeah, like, so just describing it in like a very summary like thing, despite being at the top of a mountain. I honestly would love to live there. It's open space.
It sounds gorgeous.
There's like really no need for artificial light, especially during the day. It's kind of a dream home. Hint, hint, Will. Open concept. I don't mind where I live.
Side of a mountain with an infinity pool.
I really don't care if it's in a mountain, but like that infinity pool, open concept, that'd be fucking awesome. What is it? I don't mind where I live now. It's just I just don't seem to get enough natural lighting, and it pisses me off. There's like only natural lighting in like a couple of rooms, and it's not enough.
So we have the thing where like I do like to have like the window, like the curtains open and things, so I can see out and I don't feel closed in. And
yeah, that's my big thing. Like that's what I need. I need space.
Yeah.
Like Will wants to live in like an RV, and I don't mind that idea. My biggest fear is just feeling closed in and not having enough space. Whether I have like one suitcase with all of my belongings ever in life in that one specific thing, I still will feel like I don't have enough space. And it's not for material needs. It's my mental health.
Well, and so Brittany she would live in a vampire cave if she could, like completely dark all the time. Like,
I feel like Will would too. He's got eye sensitivity.
Which is like fine, but like I need to have open freedom as well, like where I can get out of that space.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I might wear a lot of black. I might be a little moody a lot of the times, but I have a sunny disposition.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't even necessarily like being out in the sunshine. I just need to know that it's an option sometimes.
Yeah.
Hey, look, there go the creepy old people that drive by our house and look in the windows. Hi, old people. We live in a subdivision that is being newly built. And these old people drive by all the time to look at the new construction because they have nothing better to do. And they just drove by the window. So
I feel like my dad would do that.
Yeah, Brittany, you know who I'm talking about. The blue van.
So page 80.
Yes.
Okay.
Feyre gets on my damn nerves.
Listen, this pisses me off, and it's because it's my character flaw. I need to work on it. But instead of talking about it, Feyre tries to sweep it under the rug instead of like facing it and like explaining or whatever. And Reese is like not allowing it to happen. And it pisses me off because I am Feyre. I do the same exact shit. Will doesn't let me sweep it under the rug. I'll sit there and be like, I'm fine. And he goes, clearly you're not. Yeah, so like, what's wrong? Is it this? Is it that? And he just keeps asking and asking until I like just say it. And then at the end he goes, do you feel better? And I'll be like, yes. But I'll still be pissed off. I'd be like still annoyed that I had to do it and had to talk about it. That is clearly communication flaws, communication errors. Working on it. And I just get really mad about it.
So I have a couple things on page 80. First of all, I wrote, Feyre gets on my damn nerves. Have I mentioned that? Why is she still obsessed over Tamlin? He treats her like a child. So
okay. I was thinking about this on the way over. You ever notice how people who have never been in like an abusive relationship of any, whether it's physical, emotional, or anything like that, they don't notice abuse happening? And not that like, I mean, maybe they sweep it under the rug themselves, or maybe they just don't realize what is happening.
Yeah.
But then once you're in that, like once you are that person that is being in that abusive relationship of some sort, and you get out of it,
you're like,
we analyze everything and we see that. And so we nitpick. We're like, that's abuse. That's abuse.
Mm-hmm.
This is negative. This is toxic. Like,
yeah.
But a lot of people don't do that. So
yeah,
maybe she's in that stage.
Right. Because this was like her first loves. Because she didn't love Isaac.
Yeah. So. Isaac was just something to help her
get through the day. So that's the first thing. She's sitting here talking about today. I'd only thought of Tamlin, of wanting to see him, hold him, ask him about everything that Reese had claimed. First of all, bitch, when has Reese ever lied to you? Straight up lied.
Yeah.
Why would you not believe him? Second of all, she said, During the past several days, I hadn't shown any signs of the power Rhysand believed I had. I hadn't felt anything stirring beneath my skin, and thank the cauldron.
You're not going to. Not yet.
I just think it's funny that she says thank the cauldron.
Oh, yeah, and before she never said, like, that was a thing.
And now she's like, now that she is High Fae, she's like, thank the cauldron. And then she's being a dick to Rhysand just for no reason.
Typical.
And then she bitches about how she barely saw Mor all week. And, like, because he's like, I'll tell Mor you said bye. Like,
I didn't see her at all.
Well, you didn't see her because you didn't ask. Like, he basically says that. Like, they are allowing her
space.
And they're requesting consent. Right. Basically. When has Tamlin ever requested consent for anything with Feyre?
Just walks in, just sees that she's laying there naked, growls, like, let's go. Like, bitch, maybe it's hot.
Like, what? Like, I just can't. Like, I don't. Rawr. I feel like the respect, and again, maybe it's because, like, I was in an abusive relationship, an emotionally abusive. Well, I've been in both, but the previous one, the one that really messed me up, was an emotionally abusive relationship. And it took me a while to adjust to Brittany doing nice things for me, or Brittany building me up. Well, we've been together for 9 years, so it's...
yeah, there you go. We walked into the office yesterday while I was playing Elden Ring, and he's just like, don't ever sit there and say I don't spoil you. And I'm like, what? Where did this come from? He goes, just letting you know. I was like, did I say something? I haven't said anything. I'm just sitting here. Did he just come out of the bathroom? I was like, what? I was like, okay, whatever. I'm just gonna sit here and play my game.
Yeah, and it's just funny to look at them and, like, see this guy who's all these healthy things and modeling all of these healthy relationship behaviors, who clearly, I mean, he hasn't said that he loves her or anything, but it's kind of clear that he does. Like, he's getting there anyway.
Right.
And then you've got
Tamlin. Love her like he cares. He cares about her well-being.
Yeah. And her as a being. Like,
just respects her.
And then there's Tamlin, who forces Ianthe on her. Forces Lucian's company on her. Not that she minds Lucian's company, but, like,
still,
every once in a while, maybe she'd like to walk to the village by herself. And she's a fucking
walk by herself.
Badass. So, like, yeah, or walk around the grounds. She can't even walk around the grounds without sentries following her around. Like,
right.
Ugh.
So page 83.
Oh, I have a couple things for you.
Ow. Okay. Ow.
What did you? What?
You ever get, like, this random, like, pinch?
Yes.
On, like, nothing pinched, and yeah, that happened.
I'm also curious. So at this point on page 81, Feyre has not gone back to the Spring Court yet. I'm curious about what she's expecting when she gets there. Because if it was me, I'd be scared. Because Tamlin has a fucking temper, and, like, I would be worried.
Was this page 80? You said
page 81.
Oh.
When I, like, right before, because I think that little, like, mark thing right there is when she
walks in.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I think she hadn't thought about this. Or she says she did all week, but, like, we didn't actually hear that. So, I mean, maybe she didn't. Just didn't.
And then on page 82.
Honestly, yeah, I'd be absolutely terrified.
She's like, you trashed the house, yada, yada, yada. Like, we find out that he destroyed his study and, like, broke the table.
See, and that right there is what would freak me out.
Like, him throwing a fucking tantrum. Like,
listen, I deal with kids and their tantrums every single day. I am not about to deal with a grown-ass man.
And, like, what if she had been there? What if she pissed him off and she had been there? Like, she literally... I noticed the study walls, the claw marks raked down them, all over them, and the table they'd been using, that was new. And, like, she says, you trashed the study, and he said, I trashed half the house. And she's trying to explain to Tamlin that he, like, Rhysand didn't touch her. He left her alone. He didn't, like...
And he's still, like, searching over her.
Yeah, and, like, instead of just listening to her. And then, where was I at? Page 82. Oh, she says, you have no idea, or he says, you have no idea what games he plays, what he's capable of doing. And she said, I know. And the next time I'll be careful. And he said, there won't be a next time. And then she's like, you found a way out? Like, she's excited. Like, oh, you found a way out of this bargain that I made. And he said, I'm not letting you go. Bitch, excuse me? Now I want to go. Like, you're not going to tell me what I can and can't do. Like,
And this is where my comment pops in. So is he like really the protector?
No, he's because fucking captor.
The next part of it was, she's like, he said there would be consequences for breaking a magical bargain. And he goes, damn the consequences, but I heard it for the empty threat that it was and how much it destroyed him. So that's why I was like, is he really the protector, though?
A little bitch.
I mean, his comment was an empty threat, essentially. Like,
well, and I mean, like,
we know what he did in ACOTAR. Is he really a protector? No.
And like, I get that, like, it was an empty threat because he wanted it to be a real threat, but there's not anything he could do. But also, just like, he's a captor.
Trying? Oh yeah, that's
right. Too. Like he's keeping her locked up. He doesn't let her go anywhere without a sentry or somebody there. When she's in her room, Alice is there. Like
or Ianthe, yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, he controls every second of her time at the spring court, but he's never fucking there, is what we find out. Like, ugh. Yeah. And then on page 84, so Rhys is like, we all need to bond together. We need to figure out our plan so we know what to do because, you know,
like he actually wants.
We need to fight against Hybern. We need to unite.
Like, yeah, united front. That's exactly what we need to do.
And then Tamlin, this idiot over here, is like, I'm gonna fight Rhys. Tell me everything about his palace, everything about his court.
If anyone's a dumb jock, I'm sorry, but like he is like Tamlin is the dumb jock.
Yes,
and Rhys is like the nerd. That's just like, why are you doing this
again? Tamlin is a Gryffindor, and he's just like, oh, he stole my girlfriend. Let me go destroy his court. And Rhys is over here, like, looking at the big picture. And he's like, oh, shit, we should all band together to, like, fight Hybern. And I just can't with fucking Tamlin.
Yeah, Rhys is like, I'm the Slytherin / Ravenclaw. I'm smarter than this.
Yeah.
I'm trying to live my life at my beautiful night court.
And, like,
without Hybern threat looming over us.
Yes. So, like, all of Prythian should all be banding together to fight Hybern, but instead, Tamlin's over here like, he killed my dad, and blah, 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 blah. Like,
it's like, bitch, you killed his mom.
Right. Like, I mean.
Like, you're lucky Rhys didn't do
all
more.
Of that was, like, forever ago. Get over it. I mean.
500 years?
Right. Like, let's move on. Like, we have new problems. New things are happening. He saved your girlfriend's life. So, like, maybe...
Right. Maybe give him a little credit.
Yeah, I just can't. And not only did he save her life, but in doing so, like, he made it clear that he did not touch her in any way until he saved your ass because you touched her even though you weren't supposed to. And then she went and stayed there for a whole week and came back perfectly fine, if not improved. Well, no, she was improved. Like, Rhys even says that a couple pages back about how her skin isn't as pale, like, and she doesn't have the bags under her eyes. Like, she looks healthier.
Right.
Ugh.
Yeah. I have some for page 86.
I have something on 85. Tamlin's talking about how finding out that she has these powers and using them is going to make people want to kill her for it. Yes, it will. But some people are already going to want to kill her anyway, just because she's your, like, high lady or lady or whatever.
There's no high ladies.
Yeah, there's no high ladies. She's the lady of your court. So people are already going to want to kill her. So why not hone those abilities that she has so she can fucking protect herself and doesn't have to rely on you for everything?
What happens if you go down?
He grosses me out. Like, I can't. And he's never fucking there. So, like...
Your favorite princess is Belle.
My favorite princess is Belle. But that's because she reads and is smart and thinks for herself, okay?
That's true. I mean, at least Prince Adam wasn't toxic.
Wasn't he? He did trash half of his castle as well. But anyway.
Not because of her, just because he was pissed off.
Yeah.
He's the beast.
So
Tamlin's a high fae.
He's
regal.
Now I'm on page 86.
Okay. I put Feyre literally has 7 High Lord powers. Tamlin should be optimistic and back off. I'm sure she could hold her own after training anyways. Because at this point she's like makes a comment like, well, what if I have the powers? And then she's like, well, did you know? And he goes, I hoped it wasn't true. And now that Rhys suspects, there's no telling what he'll do with the information. And then she's like, well, he wants me to train. He goes, no,
yeah,
you don't need to train. I can guard you from whatever comes our way. It's like, hold on. Like, you literally have 7 High Lord, like, the powers of 7 powerful High Fae in this person's body. That can make her a very powerful weapon.
Yes.
If she's put into the wrong hands. Like, at least let her learn it. Yes. So that she can, whatever.
So that same thing, that same little excerpt there where he's like, training would draw too much attention. You don't need to train. I can guard you from whatever comes our way.
Yeah, that's negative.
And then I'm just like, or maybe, Tamlin, you just want her to be completely dependent on you.
Right.
She's been strong and independent her whole life. And now you expect her to just act like a pampered princess and just sit there. Yeah. And like, I again go back to, if that's who you think you fell in love with, then you're not in love with Feyre, because that's not who she is.
And maybe that's why he rejected the bond with Amarantha, if that is legitimately the case.
Yeah. Because she was also, fucking crazy, but she was also a strong, independent woman. She didn't need him.
She just lusted.
Yeah.
Hardcore.
And then on page 87.
I just put Tamlin is toxic and needs to be canceled. I don't really agree fully with cancel culture. But like, fuck Tamlin.
Yeah, Tamlin is the worst. Okay. And then she's like talking about Tamlin, and he was the High Lord, my High Lord. He was the shield and defender of his people, of me. And if keeping me safe meant that his people continued to hope to build a new life, that he could do the same, I could bow to him on this one thing. I could do it. You are no one's subject. Maybe Rhysand had altered my mind, shields or no. How is putting your best weapon in the safe and locking it the best for your people?
Clearly not.
Like, come on, Feyre.
There was a part too where he's like in denial. He's like, there's too many risks, too many variables in training her. And there will be no conflict with Hybern. There'll be no war. Which makes me wonder if Tamlin's like in cahoots with Hybern.
Or just fucking an idiot. Like,
either or.
He might, does he really just think? And again, I feel like, I keep bringing up Harry Potter houses, but I feel like that's a very Gryffindor mentality. Oh, we won the battle. We won the war. No, you won this battle with this commander of the King of Hybern. Like,
Amarantha still got the whole country to deal with.
Right. And this was only 50 years. This whole thing with Amarantha was only 50 years. So, like, that's a very short battle in an immortal life.
And I think the whole point of it, he was testing it out to see what it could do. So, like, he's been planning this since the end of the original war that began the treaty or in the wall, like any and all of that. So,
whatever. Yeah, I just can't. The whole thing.
I like that Lucian, though, right now is actually
kind of
maybe
trying to help her.
Maybe we should train her, like trying to like ease into it because he knows like the temper that he has.
But. Yeah. And he knows that he understands that Feyre is not going to just give up that easily.
Because he's got brains. Anyways, That's all I had for chapter 7.
Me as well.
Last chapter.
Chapter 8.
Oh, the tith.
Sure. Is it tith or tithe? I feel like
tith, tithe, teeth. Tithe, tithy, teetha.
How do you pronounce it?
You can pronounce it a lot. Tith. 1/10 of annual produce or earnings formerly taken as a tax for the support of the church.
Tithe.
I didn't. Oh. Tithe. No, that sounds better than tith.
Yeah.
Whenever I hear tith, I think tith for tath.
Okay.
Tithe. Got it. Oh, the tithe has arrived.
On page 89.
I only had 3 things for this chapter.
Oh, I had a few things for this chapter, but page 89. No worries. Tamlin will handle everything. Don't have opinions. Just sit there and look pretty. It's basically what they tell her. Like, Feyre's like, what is going to be expected of me? What do I need to do? And Ianthe is like, don't worry about it. You're just going to sit there and look pretty. Tamlin's going to handle it all.
You don't have to talk. You can just sit there for 4 fucking hours.
Right. No.
Yeah. I had some for page 90.
I do as well.
So, Tamlin is a fucking idiot.
Oh my god. Fuck Tamlin.
So on this part, we meet the water wraith who comes in and is like, we don't have any fish to offer you. We don't have this. We don't have that. And he goes, regardless, you are expected to pay. The crown atop his head gleamed in the afternoon light. Blech.
Yeah.
Like, okay, king of the spring court. Crafted with emeralds, sapphires, and amethyst, the gold had been molded into a wreath of spring's first flowers. This is literally the epitome of like the wealth versus the poor.
Yes.
It's like one of those comic strips that are like is making fun of something.
Yeah, like satire. Like,
yeah, it's like a big old fat guy up there and like a tiny little screen. Like, I don't have anything. You need to bring me all of it.
Feyre, hey Feyre, you can't learn how to protect yourself because we need to bring hope to the people. Oh, but they're starving and we're still going to demand that they bring us any little bit of anything they have left.
Right, and I think I love the part where he's just like, they talk about the crown like crafted up there because it's like, you're demanding this person who does not have this resource to pay, and you have jewels on top of your fucking head.
And not only that, but like he gives Feyre a new piece of jewelry every day.
Right, and she's like, I don't even wear these. Again, I have a new piece of jewelry every time.
So I wrote on page 90, I wrote gross. The government is gross even in fantasy novels. Because it is. It's just, and he's like, it's how it's always been done and how it'll always be done. Okay, well maybe it's time for a fucking change.
Right.
Like,
and here's the thing, at least our government, I mean, might not be good, but at least there's programs to help assist this.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the taxes aren't still, like, you know, shitty, but at least there's programs that help feed people.
Right. And like, yeah.
And it's like, she's like, explain, like, we don't have money. We live in the water.
Right. Like, what the fuck do you want? Like,
and he's like, there's no exceptions. Excuse me. You have 3 days to present what is owed or offer double next tithe. And I was like, type. Son of a bitch. Type. And it's like, oh, that's horrible. And she's just like, I've been in this situation and like, you have the audacity?
Yeah. And I don't understand why they didn't expect that. And then, so then on page 93.
Such a prick. I have some for page 92, but I essentially just said it. I was like, she suffered the same fate.
Yeah.
Or almost suffered the same fate. Like,
and now you're expecting her to just sit by.
Right. Like, what a prick.
Ugh. So then, Feyre, this is one of the first times that I'm like, fuck yeah, Feyre, I like you.
Right.
She goes,
take all my jewelry. I don't give it.
Yeah. She's like, I need some air. And she just walks away. And Ianthe tries to stop her. And Lucien kind of acts like he's going to try to stop her.
And you can just tell, I think Tamlin's like pissed.
Well, and she's pissed. So I think everybody gets out of her way. Because I honestly think everybody's a little scared of her because they know that she does have these powers. And like, no, she hasn't trained on them, but like, she could fuck them all up.
So, and that makes it more dangerous because she hasn't trained yet. So she is essentially gonna blow up.
Yeah. And so on page 93, I wrote, yes, that is how you gain your people's loyalty, Feyre. Like, going out to them and reaching out and extending that hand, like, that's, you catch more flies with honey than vinegar. Like, the whole thing, like,
rings true.
Yeah. And she says that. The water wraith says, I will never forget this. It's because they ask, what payment do you require? Because that's how fairies work. And she said, nothing. It's not a bargain. Just take it. And she says, I will never, thank you. I will not forget this kindness, nor will any of my sisters. So like, she's just made an ally of every water wraith in the spring court.
Actually, any water wraith in all of Prithian.
Right.
Because I feel like they're all, not species, but like they're all of the same family.
Right. So just like,
they're like mermaids.
Jesus. And then I have something on page 94 as well.
I got 95, so. Go ahead.
Tamlin is just like, why did you do that?
You're setting an example that's not appropriate. This is how we do things here. Competition.
And she's just like, basically like, fuck you, bro. And
get
I was
over
like,
yourself.
Tell him, girl. Yes, she says, get over yourself. I was like, fuck yeah, tell him. Tell that sanctimonious dick to fuck off. Like, I just can't with Tamlin. And even Lucien is like, hey,
he knows it's wrong.
Yeah.
And he's like looking down and like, they was like, you know we're right. You know you're right.
And
like,
she's like in his mind, like, and then she forces her way into his mind accidentally.
Yeah, I know.
So we see that she did get some power from Rhys at least.
And she can best Tamlin, so we know at least Tamlin and Rhys, she's got powers at this point. We're not finished with this meal, Tamlin growled. Oh, get over yourself.
And then, as she's walking away, she thinks she saw 2 burned handprints on
the
wood.
So that can mean fire!
Yeah, so, like, that's yet another power that she's probably gotten. But yeah, I love that she's, like, finally standing up to him, because he finally hit the button that was too far. Like, he finally went too far.
Yeah, and it's just, oh God, it's just so frustrating. And I'm just glad, like, she's finally seeing it. Well, maybe not necessarily seeing it at this point, but, like, standing up for this. And I mean, she's so passionate about it.
Yeah.
And she's made comments like, well, we need to continually get it stocked. Like, why do we need all of this food? We have plenty of food.
Right.
Like, there's people out here who haven't had food or have been fighting themselves. And I think that's what I don't understand. Like, we hear and understand that these people who did not go under the mountain went to camps, and because they, like, that were under the mountain, I guess. I mean, they're same thing.
But they weren't in the court.
The court section, like, camps, I guess. And like when Amarantha, quote unquote, forgot to feed them, which she probably did on purpose.
Oh yeah. They were, like, eating each other.
Yeah, and fighting and killing and all of that. And it's like, you as a High Lord should not be required. I don't give a shit if it's been 3 months since Under the Mountain. 3 months is not enough time to regain all these resources that have either been left unchecked. Like, what happens if you have to do grain?
Right. If you're a farmer, like, you can't grow what you need,
like wheat in 3 months. It's going to be a tiny little stalk.
Right.
But it's not going to be enough.
Absolutely fucking ridiculous.
Honestly, he should have given them, like, a few years.
Yeah.
Not just 6 months total.
Yeah.
3 months under the mountain, 3 months out.
Yeah, he should have given them...
Oh, not under the mountain, sorry.
Yeah.
50 years under the mountain, 3 months out with Feyre. Him being there, too. There we go.
Yeah.
God. Anyways.
Yeah, just fuck all of that. Fuck Tamlin. And also... You're right. I did not want to stop reading after chapter 8. I did, only because I needed to get in the shower. But I did not want to stop reading, so I'll probably be reading the next chapters today. But
yeah, I warned her. I was like, listen, you're going to get to chapter 9 and you're going to be like, oh shit, that's a good part. Like, I got to know what happens next. And then you just got to keep reading. So it starts picking up from here, obviously.
Thank goodness. I was getting a little bit... I understand why they had to take the time, because I feel like they really needed to set me up to... Mm-hmm. You had to get to know Ianthe, you had to get to know all of that. But
yeah, like, get the gist of what's happening and all of that. So yeah.
I think with everything that's happening in these books and how much is going on, I think that we will probably not tell you ahead of time how many chapters we're going to cover.
We're going to attempt 9 to 16.
Yes, we're going to attempt 9 to 16, but with our last episode, we went through 4 chapters and we're at an hour already. And here we went through 4 chapters and we're over an hour. So we're going to kind of
play by ear.
Yeah, see how it goes, because we don't want to give you another 2-hour episode, because even though you can listen to it in pieces, that's a lot.
Yeah. Sorry. Anyways, so we're going to attempt 9 to 16. It might be 9 to 12. Who knows?
See how much we have to say.
Yep. Until next time.
All right. See you, witches.
Bye.